Manifestation and positive thinking. But let's be clear, I'm not talking about sitting on a yoga mat, thinking positive and loads of money falling from the universe. No shade to anyone out there who loves a good Pinterest board, but that is not what this video is about. This is for anyone who is tired of second guessing themselves, who are sick of waiting to be chosen, and who are ready to take up some space with intention. So let's get into how your brain can be the biggest hype friend you need. Okay, first up, let's talk about science, because I was a non-believer before, and it's actually the science behind this that made me change my mind. So if you're going to build an empire or make some positive changes in life, you're going to want the right tools in your pocket to get you there. And the great thing is we all have that. Yes, the brain. So the brain is one hell of a tool, and I want to talk about Reticular Activating System. Yes, let's call it RAS for short. It sounds like some sort of sci-fi gadget, but it's actually part of your brain that filters the information you take in. So have you ever thought about a new car, and then 30 seconds to an hour to the next day, you start seeing adverts for this car, and you just start seeing it everywhere, you see it on the road. Part of you will probably believe that that's Facebook's algorithm from advertising. It may well be, but when you're seeing it out and about, that's actually your RAS at work. So this happens when you set a clear goal or objective. RAD gets the memo, and then it starts showing you things that align with what you want. So it's not the world that changes. There aren't more of these cars out there. It's just your mind has changed. That in itself is mind-blowing. Okay, then there is neuroplasticity. I have never been so clever. So there's this idea that your brain can rewire itself based on what you feed it, and positive thoughts strengthen positive pathways. The more you focus on the goal, then the more the brain reinforces those patterns. And from a negative perspective, if you've ever had anxiety and you constantly overthink things and then those things start to happen, it's the same, but on the positive side of things. And it's very rarely that we put that into action and give that credit for what it's worth, that if you are more positive things will happen to you. Now, finally, if you throw in a little bit of dopamine into your brain's reward system, and you've got a motivational cocktail right there. Visualizing success can release dopamine, which can make you feel good and has this tiny hit of motivation, and then you're just creating this cycle and it just keeps going. Think of it as your brain giving you high fives when you start thinking like a winner. All right, that's the science. Let's talk about psychology. So one of the core ideas is expectancy theory. We tend to get what we expect. So that is called a self-fulfilling prophecy. So if you believe that you're going to fail, you're going to act accordingly with your body language, with your mind, and well, then you end up failing. The same goes the positive side of things. You start thinking positive, that you're going to get the job, you visualize it. Self-fulfilling prophecy. Need I say any more? And this is where CBT comes in, cognitive behavioural therapy. Something I looked into quite a few years ago, and then, like most things, brushed it aside. But it is so important. It's all about catching those trash thoughts and flipping them. So like, I'm not good enough, into I'm still learning and I'm capable. It's almost like a DIY brain training. And finally is this golden nugget, which is the goal setting theory. So when you visualize something, or you have something within your sights and the goal is too big, it's too vague, it's too hard to accomplish. But instead of saying things like, I want to be successful, if we start saying things like, I want to earn X amount by December, or I want to sell my business in 10 years for this amount of money, we're kind of making it real, and we're telling the brain exactly what we want. You've got to make it uncomfortable, and you've got to make it happen. That's the science. Let's get into some cultural and historical roots. So being serious, we all know that manifestation was not developed on TikTok or Pinterest. It goes a long way. And I'm going to quote Buddha for this. Buddha said, our life is a creation of our mind. Now, Napoleon Hill came along in 1930s, and he had the idea of think and grow rich. And this is a book that I've recently read, which has kind of spurred this whole video on. And it basically laid out a mindset formula for success. It wasn't about wishing, it was about focus, desire, faith in yourself, and repeating your goal, and then finally just never giving up and having grit. So fast forward to now, when we have this kind of like lucky girl syndrome or lucky guy syndrome, and the message has got a little bit messy and a little bit sparkly and a little bit Pinteresty. But the reality is there's some truth in this, and I'm down for it. Your thoughts shape your reality. And women and men have been proving this for years. So remember those things that Napoleon Hill's recipes for success is desire, faith, auto-suggestion, and persistence. So write these down if you want, or just keep them in your head or save this video. But desire, get crystal clear on what it is that you want. I want more money. Don't say that. Say, I want X amount by this time. Faith, you've got to believe it's possible. If you don't believe in the power of positive thought, which I didn't, but I do now, then it's not going to happen. This whole thing is absolutely not going to work. Auto-suggestion, that's a fancy way of saying affirmations. Repeat your daily goals all the time. Persistence, when it gets hard, you cannot quit. You have to keep going. You have this narrative, this purpose, and you must stick to it. Most people quit. Don't be most people. All right, finally, most science is backed up by evidence. Here's the evidence. I'm going to give you 3 people that have totally taken on board this positive mindset and then achieved amazing things. I'm going to pick 3 women because it ties in with the podcast and everything that I talk about over on the She Who Dares Wins podcast. Yeah, shout out there to the best podcast there is on any platform. Number 1, Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey, love her or hate her, she has smashed it and she's one of the most successful women out there. She talks about how she visualized her role in The Colour Purple, the film, and she wasn't a film star and she didn't come from anything. She had no silver spoon, no connections in the film industry, just a vision, and she knew that that role was hers. Sarah Blakely, so she's the former founder of Spanx. Yeah, if you're a woman out there, you know what, in fact, if you're a man, you're gonna know what Spanx are. Like, keep you, ooh, that was good. Keep you all tied in. She had the idea for Spanx and everyone rejected it, but she knew that she had the most amazing product and it would change women's lives all around the world. So she visualized it and she built it. She's a billionaire. It's an amazing product. All right, Lady Gaga, a bit of a left field one for her. Again, you might love her or hate her, but you cannot discredit her music career. It is incredible. And again, someone who was completely rejected by the industry multiple times. But when she was younger, she told herself out loud that she was a musician. And she backed it with action and belief. And, well, if you don't know who Lady Gaga is, then you've been living under a rock. So there you go, folks. Manifestation isn't magic. Start by getting clear on your goal, visualize it daily, speak it in your own life, and then do one thing every single day that gets you closer to where you want to be. And remember, your brain is listening every single day. So feed it what it needs to hear. All right, that's it from me. Catch you next time. Until then, keep thinking big and check out the She Who Dares Wins podcast.